I stood in the shadow of the stage curtain, my graduation cap tightly pinned over my curls, fingers gripping the diploma folder like a lifeline. My legs were trembling. 4 years of brutal nights working 2 jobs, going hungry and pushing past every "you'll never make it" had led to this. The first in my family to graduate. Hell, the first to even get past community college. My heart pounded, a cocktail of nerves and hard-earned pride. Until I heard them, cutting through the quiet hum of the auditorium like knives. "Don't get too full of yourself, girl. We paid for that damn certificate," my father slurred from the front row, loud enough to make heads turn. Then came the chuckle. My mother, never one to hold back cruelty, added with a laugh. "She looks like a joke in that gown, like a penguin playing pretend." I felt the color drain from my face. Of course, I had invited them. Some desperate flicker of hope inside me wanted them to be proud, to change for one damn day. But no, they were exactly who they had always been, mean, small, and loud about it. When my name was called, I stepped forward, my spine stiff, my face calm. The cheers from classmates felt distant, professor smiles like background noise. I could feel their eyes, burning holes in my back. Then, just as I reached for the dean's hand, my father stood. "No daughter of mine deserves applause for partying and wasting my paycheck," he shouted. Gasps erupted. Then it happened. He stormed up the steps like a drunk god of shame, and he slapped me. On stage, in front of hundreds. The sound echoed through the mic like a gunshot. I staggered. The diploma folder slipped from my fingers. Security shouted. My mother laughed from her seat. She needed that, finally knocked some respect into her. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I slowly picked up my cap, turned to the mic, and said, "You didn't fund my future. You fueled my trauma. But thanks to you, I now know what freedom feels like." And I walked away. They were escorted out by security as whispers, phones, and shocked stares followed me down the steps. After the ceremony, a professor whispered, "That was powerful." But inside, I was unraveling. The week after, I ghosted them, blocked their numbers. The messages still came from other phones. "You embarrassed us after all we did. Your sister would have been grateful." Ah, yes, the golden girl. Nose job at 19, dropped out in 1 semester, lived off their money, and never held a job. Meanwhile, when he passed during my sophomore year, I quietly rolled the inheritance into a legal trust, never told anyone, never touched a penny. Until now. Because while they were mocking me and missing mortgage payments, I was watching. Their house slipped into pre-foreclosure. My dad gambled away his income. My mom spent on spas and my sister's fake life. So, I bought it. Through a proxy at auction, I outbid everyone. Then, I changed the locks. When they came back from a weekend getaway they didn't even pay for, they stood frozen at the door, keys jangling, shouting. I waited across the street, watched it all, then stepped out. "That's trespassing now," I said, holding up the deed. My mom screamed. My dad looked like he'd explode. "What the hell is this?" "It's called consequences," I said. "You don't live here anymore." They threatened. They sobbed. They shouted about sacrifices. Then came their last card. "Our pensions! They're tied to the house!" They were right. But what they didn't know, I had already filed for control of the pension-linked equity, thanks to a clause in my grandfather's trust that allowed a transfer in cases of abuse. The graduation slap video? Submitted as evidence from 3 different angles. The court froze the account. I became trustee. They tried to fight it, hired a lawyer, but the judge didn't even let them finish. "You build legacies on kindness, not fists," she said. "Pension control, permanently mine." And with that money, I rebuilt everything. I turned the house, my house, into a safe haven, the second start home. For kids like me, those who aged out of foster care or were kicked out by toxic families, we offered therapy, job help, warm beds. Donations came, professors volunteered, a local paper ran the story anonymously. It spread. My parents, homeless. One night, I walked out after a group meeting and saw them standing at the edge of the sidewalk, disheveled, cold, quiet. "You built all this?" my mother asked. "Using our money," my dad muttered. "No," I said. "I used what you left behind, scraps of humanity, and built a future without you." Then they asked, "Just one night, can we stay?" My childhood self screamed, yes, but the woman I'd become had already buried the daughter they never loved. "You're not on the list," I said gently. "This place is for survivors." That night, I watched them walk into the darkness on the security camera feed, and I didn't feel triumph. I felt peace. The next morning, I walked on to a different stage, not to accept a degree, but an award for rebuilding what was broken, for transforming pain into shelter. The audience stood. Hannah, my roommate-turned-sister, cried in the front row. And this time when I smiled, no one slapped it away. That was my real graduation. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments if you want more dramatic story of my life.